Okay, so yesterday we started with functions, right? The most interesting part of Python or any programming language, right? So you have missed that, right? Go through the recording, but whatever we have discussed yesterday, anyway, we are going to discuss about that today as well. That's a continuation, right? So what we have done yesterday was what is function basically. Functions are nothing but set of instructions. And how do we create a function? We create a function using a def keyword followed by function name, and within the block we write the code, right? That we call it as a function definition. Function definition does not execute the function. That is the first and most important point. Once you define the function, that does not mean that function got executed. It is just getting defined inside the memory, right? When you start calling the function, then the function actually gets executed. So there are two phases. The same what we do in the variables. First we declare the variable a equal to 90, and then you do print a, then it starts getting called, right? Or a plus b, then a is getting called, right? So that is the execution of the variable. Similarly, function execution happens in two phases. First we declare, define, and then we call, right? Now the program always starts from line number one, right? It always starts from line number one. Anything which you are not defined, which is not inside any function, right? Anything which is not inside any function, anything that you are declaring outside the function goes to the global memory. Anything that you define inside the function goes to that function memory, right? Program starts from line number one, and then it starts going line by line. Once there is a function definition, that function is defined in that particular memory wherever it is being declared. Once the function declaration is done and you do the function call, then the function memory gets created. Function does not execute without creating the memory. Function first creates a memory and then starts the execution. Right? Anything that is defined inside the function goes to the function memory. Once the function execution is done, memory is removed. Right? So this is the working concept of a function. Now let's take some example. What will be the output for this program? Why 100? There are so many print statement I have written. Which line will be executed? It executes line. It starts from line number one, a equal to 100. Where a equal to 100 will go? In which memory? Can you just? In which memory the function will go? This a will be declared in the A is outside the function, right? Global memory. A will go to global. From line number 1, it goes to line number 2, which is function definition. Where this function will be defined? Global memory. Right? Function will be defined in global memory. From line number 2, where the program will go now. I'll see how to give the line number. From line number 2, where the program goes. Why last line? From line number 3, okay. We are in line number 3, right? Because line number 2 is empty. So from line number 3, where the program will go, it goes to line number 9. It will not go inside line number 4 because that's a function definition, and function definition will not be executed until you call the function. So it goes to line number 9. Line number 9 is again a function definition. So this will be declared in which memory? Global memory, right? Now from line number 9, it goes to which line? Will it go to line number 10? It goes to line number 15. Because again, until the function is being called, will not execute the function. Function is just defined. So from line number 10, 9, it goes to line number 15 and it prints A. Is A defined in the global memory? Yes, it's defined, so we'll get the output as 100. Right? Why these two functions are not being executed? Because we have not called. Right? So let's call the function. Now what happens? Why error? If inside the function memory A is not defined, then it will go to the parent, right? Who's the parent? Global. Is global contains A? Does global have A? Global has A, right? So it will go to the global memory and then print 100, right? So again, starts from line number 1. Line number 1 goes to the global memory. Line number 3 goes to the global memory again, function definition. From line number 3, program goes to line number 9. And from line number 9, it goes to line number 15. From line number 15, where it will go? From line number 15, it goes to line number 10, right? Because you are calling the function, right? So from line number 15, it goes to line number 10. Line number 10 has print A. Now A is not there in the function memory. So it will go and check in the parent. Who's the parent? Global. It goes and check in the global. We is defined there, right? So we'll get the output as 100 over here. Function memory contains C equal to 400, right? So print C will give me the output as 400. Then we are calling show function. When you are calling show function from line number 13, where the program will go? Line number 4. From line number 13, it goes to line number 4. And in line number 4, if it goes to line number 4, then memory wise, we have global. On top of global, we have which function memory? Add. We have add function memory. And on top of add function memory, we'll have one more memory, which is show function. Because add function is still in execution, right? So that memory will still be there. So it will look something like this. So this is my global memory. then we have function memory, and then we have show function memory, right? In the global memory, we have declared a equal to 100, right? We have declared show and add. Now this is add function, right? Here we are declaring c equal to 400, and this is show function where we are declaring b equal to 300 and a equal to 200, and this is global. This is how it will look like. Okay, who is the parent of show? Who is the parent of show? Global, right? Because we can see that show is defined in global. So it does not mean that if some in the stack, like if show is above add, then add is the parent. No, you need to see where show is defined. So show is defined inside global. So global is the parent of show, right? Let's say if A is not there, we have A equal to 200 in show, so it will print 200. Let's say if we do not have A equal to 200, it will go and check in global. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Add function will still be there because the execution is not completed. Right? Now print B will print. What if I do print C? So if you look at the memory, C is not defined in the show function. So where it should go? It will go to global. It will not go to add. Add is nowhere present, right? Add is just calling the function, not defining. So it will go to the global. Even global does not have C, will get errors. Right? We'll be getting error. See, we are getting errors. C is not defined. Right? This part is clear, right? Now let me copy this. The question that you have asked me yesterday. Now what we have done. Now show is defined inside add. So who is the parent of show? Who is the parent of show function? Global or add? Global or add? Where show function is defined. So add is the parent. Where you're defining that context becomes the parent. So show add is the parent of show and global is the parent of add. Right? That means for show function, global is the grandparent. Right? Yes. So now the program will start from line number 1 and then it goes to line number 3. Line number 3 will be declared in the global memory. Then from line number 3 it goes to line number 16 because everything is inside the function, right? Goes to line number 16. Line number 16 is a function call. So it creates the function memory and then goes inside line number 4. Line number 4 is print A. Since A is not declared in this add function, so it will go to the global. We'll get 100. Then C is defined and we are printing C. So we'll get 400. Show is also defined in the function memory. So now this part, everything remains a kind of same, but this part is declared here, right? Now when you do print, when you do A equal to 200 and 300, so line number 7 will be defined, will be declared, and from line number 7 the program goes to line number 14. From line number 14 it goes back to line number 8, and inside line number 8 A and B are declared, and it prints A and B. When it comes to print C, now let's see. Show function does not have C, so it will go to the parent. Who is the parent? Add function. Add function has C, right? So we'll get 400, not error. Now we are getting 400. Clear, right? Simple concept where you're defining the function, that memory becomes the parent, right? First the function checks in its own memory, in its own block. If it's not there, then it goes to the parent. If it's not there, then it goes to the grandparent, right? Now let's say I do this. So now what happens? This A equal to 200 is defined here, right? So what will be the output for line number 5? Line number 5 will be 200 because local, first preference is local, right? What will be the output for line number 9? It's not there in the show function memory. So it goes to the parent. Who is the parent? Does add function has a, so output will be 200. If suppose add function does not have this A, then show will go to the global. Okay, clear, right? You can maybe execute this program. Your indentation is not correct. What error you are getting? What error you are getting? Indentation is not correct. Tab space. Executed, right? Now let's try to understand. So this working is clear, right? How does a function work, right? Every function will be declared in one of the memory. It could be a function memory, it could be a global memory, right? And the preference wise, the first preference will be given to its own. It gives preference to its own local memory. If it's not there, if anything's not there, then it goes to the parent, grandparent, and keep checking until it finds. And then if it's not able to find, then we'll get error, right? The next part is your function always create a memory and then execute. Once the function is executed, memory will be removed. So memory will be created in the form of stack. This is stack, right? One above another, right? And when the memory starts removing, it will also start removing from the top. So first this will be removed, then this will be removed, and then this will be removed, right? Function execution is done, memory will be removed, right? But now in this, we need to understand that I can see that I can define a inside the show function, inside the add function, or outside the add function. There are three places, right, where I can define a, and this show function will give first preference to inside, second preference to add, and third preference to global, right? So this is known as scoping. Scope. scope of the object, right? There are four different types of scopes we have in Python. Built-in scope, anything which is coming from the built-in memory from Python, right? Like def keyword. So we have never defined this def keyword, right? We are directly using it. Def, print, these are coming from built-in scope, built-in memory, right? So you need not declare anything. You can use anywhere it will start working, right? The next part is global scope. Anything which is defined globally comes under global scope. Okay. Then we have enclosing scope, right? Enclosing scope means I'm talking with respect to show function. With respect to the innermost function I'm talking. So enclosing scope means the one which is defined in the parent, which is not a global. Any parent which is not a global are the enclosing scope. So here A equal to 200 and C equal to 400 are the enclosing scope for show function, right? A equal to 100 is the global scope for show function, and A equal to B equal to 300 is the local scope for show function. That means outside the show function I cannot access B equal to 300. Local is specific to that block, right? With respect to add function, do we have enclosing scope? We don't have enclosing scope. We have only local. A and C both are local, and A equal to 100 is a global. That means outside the add function, I cannot access A equal to 200 and C equal to 400. But inside the function, that means inside show also I can access. Right? With respect to global, A equal to 100 is the only scope that we have, which can be used anywhere globally. Right? So always anything which you define in the topmost part can be used by the innermost part. But anything which you define in the innermost, like show function, anything that you define in the show function cannot be used by global. Right? It's something like anything that is in the parent can be accessible by the child, but anything which is in the child cannot be accessible by the parent. Vice versa is not true. Clear? We'll come to return. When we go with the types of function, then we'll discuss. Now tell me what will be the output for this. I've given the statement also so that we can differentiate which print statement is what. Right? So I've given the keywords. But first tell me which line will be printed, which print statement will be printed first. line number before add. Line number 13 will be printed first. Okay. Second is line number 7 is inside the inner function, right? So it will not be executed until you call it. Go line by line. After line number 13, it goes to line number 14. And from line number 14, it goes to line number 4. And from line number 4, it goes to line number 5. From line number 5, it goes to line number 7. Why it will go to 7? 7 is inside the inner function, right? It goes to line number 9. And from line number 9, it goes to line number 10. From line number 10, it goes to line number 6. Right? Because we are calling inner function. And from line number 6, it goes to line number 7. And then it comes to line number 11. From line number 11, it goes to line number 15. Right? This is how it works. Clear, right? Line number 1, then line number 3, then it goes to line number 13. From line number 13, it goes to line number 14. From line number 14, it goes to line number 4, 5, then 9. Right? Because line number 5 is a function definition. So it will not go inside the function until you call the function. It goes to line number 9. From line number 9, it goes to line number 10. From 10, it goes to line number 6. And then 7. And then it comes to line number 11. And then 15. Right? Now tell me what will be the output in line number 13. Line number 13 will give 100 because it's in the global. And in global memory, A equal to A is 100. From line number 13, it goes to next line is next statement is line number 9. What will be the output in line number 9? 200 because it is giving more preference to local. What will be the output in line number 7? 300 again local. Inner function has A equal to 300, so it will point to A equal to 300. What will be the output in line number 11? Line number 11. 200 local to the function, right? Line number 11 is inside add function. So first preference is local and inside the function memory is 200. Line number 15, 100, right? Global. 100, 200, 300, 100. 200, 100, right? Now what will happen? Line number 7 will be 200 because local is not there, so it will go to the parent, and with the parent add function. All 100 because add function inner function does not contain A. Inner will go to its grandparent, add will go to its parent. All 100. Now, which one will be like line number 7 will be 300. What about line number 9 and 11? 100 because it will go to the parent. So only this will become 300. Clear, right? This part is clear. Scopes are clear, right? We have four different types of scope. Global, if it's A is defined in the built-in scope in the Python memory, then that will be given preference. So first preference is local, then enclosing, then global, and then built-in. Okay. Okay, so we are discussing about scoping, the scopes of basically the variables that we have, right? All the objects that we are defining, what are the scopes and how it is accessible. Okay, so what we are discussing about, Sanjay, we are discussing about the scopes. That means we are based on the yesterday's discussion, we know how does a function work, right? But what are the scopes? Because if there are multi-layer of function, right? Then inner function is the parent of add, is a child of add, and add is a child of global. So in this multi-layer function, we see there are three types of scopes. There is a local scope. Anything that is defined within the function is a local scope. Then there is a global scope. Anything that is defined globally. And whichever is not local or global becomes the enclosing scope. Right? So whatever we are defining in add function are the enclosing scope for inner function. Whatever we are defining globally are the global scope for inner function. And whatever you are defined within the inner function are the local scope for inner function. Right? And we see that the first preference is always given to the local. First, it will check in the local memory. If it's not there, then it goes to the immediate parent, which can be an enclosing scope. So you can have multiple enclosing scope. If I put one more function inside inner, then we have multiple enclosing scope for the innermost function. Right? So we can have multiple inner enclosing scope. And what does it do? It starts checking from the immediate parent and to the next parent. Right? If it is not able to get those variable, then it goes to the global. So global scope is the last scope. And then after global, there is a built-in scope. Anything that is coming from the language comes under built-in scope, right? So that's how the Python program or any programming language, right? Any programming language work, right? Local, enclosing, global, and then built-in. These are the hierarchy in which variables are getting defined or variables are getting loaded. Accessibility comes in this sequence, right? So what we have done, we have created this example where if I comment out a equal to 200, then I can see that line number 9 and line number 11 starts printing 100 because local memory does not have a equal to 200 defined. So it takes the data from the global, its parent, right? When I comment out a equal to 300 and uncomment a equal to 200, then we can see that line number 7 is printing 200 because local memory does not have equal to 300. It's not there. Local does not have 8, so it goes to the parent and then loads that. So 200 will be defined, loaded. When I comment out a equal to 200, then we can see that both the function, line number 7, 9 and 11, all of these three print statement points to global because inner function does not have a defined, so it goes to the parent. Parent is add. Even add function does not have a defined, so it goes to the global. In case of add function, since a is not defined, so it goes to the global. Right? Clear? Fine. The local function is whichever function you are executing, that is the local, right? So when I'm inside the inner function, then a equal to 300 is a local to that function. When I'm inside the add function, then a equal to 200 is a local. So wherever you are executing, wherever your cursor is, that block becomes a local, right? And then for if I'm inside inner function, then a equal to 300 is the local for me. A equal to 200 is the enclosing for me because that is immediate parent, and a equal to 100 is a global, right? So it depends where you are running the program, in where your cursor is present. Okay, fine. So I think we are good with this.